Hey everybody, it's your old buddy John. You have once again located the Sketch Magazine podcast. I am joined, as always, with Sketch Magazine publisher Bob Hickey, Sketch Magazine editor Bill Nichols, and tonight we are going to talk about not how to build your website, but what to put on your website to make it interesting, and as a bonus, how to build a wiki. First, how you doing, guys?
Doing great, John.
Hey, doing
This
good,
is
John.
And so, what in the world is a wiki, other than a fun word to say?
A fun word to say. Um, I'm sure most people are familiar with Wikipedia online. When you do a search, it usually pops up with a word that isn't out there a lot. And on the online wikis, you can contribute and add and everything. A lot of people are using them now with their sites, and they're locking them so people can't just come in and manipulate the text and stuff. But it's a great way to organize and easily update a studio Bible, and that's what we're going to discuss it as a way to get the information out there to the fans. They're not that hard to set up. You have to know a little bit of coding, but once you do that, or if you got a friend who knows it, um, they're easy to run. You don't need any coding. It's all built in through the help files, and it's very basic. So they're fun. I've been working on one for the past couple of weeks. Really started sprinting with it this past week. So we'll get into the wiki as we discuss the websites. And I think it's important to discuss what you need to build into a website. And a wiki is definitely a part of it if you can set it up. There's several of them out there. So, but a wiki is a fun word to say too.
Yes, it's a very fun word to say. So, how would you get started putting together or building up? What are the key components for a wiki?
Okay, we're back on wiki. All right, John.
Oh,
We're
sorry,
going to
didn't
talk
mean to.
about wikis.
Yeah, let's stay on wiki and then we'll hop to the website.
Okay. Um, the wiki is there's one out there that I decided to go with. It's called Media Wiki, and it's the one that the Wiki Encyclopedia or Wikipedia Online uses. It's got a great engine in it. It's free. It's you can download it, you can install it, and it does most of it for you. If I can stumble through it, just about anybody can. You have to do a little bit of coding. There's tons and tons of templates out there you can add that are real easy to do. There's little descriptions on how to do it. So setting it up's not hard. Um, Let me save you some time. Is once I got it set up, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't add images, and I fought and fought and fought. And finally, I stumbled through the FAQs and found out that when you install a wiki, it automatically comes with the images turned off. So you have to go into a file on there and turn them on, turn them to true. So it sounds a lot more difficult than it is. It's not that hard. Once you dive into it and do a little bit of research, you can go with it. The bonus of this is that it organizes for you. You set up categories, and upon these categories, you add in your information. And way I look at it is it's a great way to build your studio Bible / your who's who for your possible future readers or current readers. And you may be amazed at how much information can go into the wiki. And it saves you from having to design a lot of different websites because it designs itself on the fly. You click on a character and it draws up that character for you. You don't have to go in and design that whole page. You just have to go in and key in the information. So they're very useful. They're easy to use once you get them set up. And the amount of information you put in there is infinite. It automatically alphabetizes it for you. It builds the links. It does everything. So it's a huge time saver. And you can have multiple people coming in and contributing. So In case what I'm doing is I pulled one book out and I said, okay, I want to get all these characters in here with bios. And I was lucky that within that book I had written bios for each. I started entering them. Then I noticed I had mentioned some corporations. I'm like, oh, that's important. I entered those corporations underneath another category called corporations. And then I mentioned a city. I'm like, well, there's another important information. Now I created a category for cities, and I put that information in there on that city. Whether it's minor or a little bit, it's in there for your future reference and for your reader's reference. So if you need a name of a town, and you might want to use a town you already created, jump on there, call up city, and say, oh, Jewel City. Yeah, okay, cool. Boom, pull that out, run with it. So it's a way to easily organize online and to build your Bible and get your information out there. You can add images. Once you set up the upload feature, it uploads them for you. It's real easy. You don't have to FTP. It does it for you. You create your images to the size you want them. And it's a nice way to organize. I'm looking forward to doing it. I really had no clue how many characters we have in the Skystorm universe.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah. And you used the word a couple of times that may confuse a few people. So I'm going to throw it to Bill to clarify this word. You used the word Bible. Now, at first someone may hear that and go, I'm not doing a religious thing. I'm doing a superhero thing. What do I need a Bible for? Clarify what Bob meant by Bible and what, in addition to what he started to talk about, should go into a Bible.
Well, Bible, whether it is a comic, you can have them for your book or whatever, or TV shows and animations use those Bibles. They're basically reference material for breakdowns of the characters. It's a reference book that somebody, if you were, especially in say a TV show, a lot of animation shows use them for. It has the visual of the character, the background, maybe some personality stuff, whatever the creators or the powers that be determine that need to be in there, so that someone else, you can hand that to someone else and they can pick it up and write those characters, or at least have a grasp of those characters. Only really sometimes the creator of a character really maybe knows, but basically it's a reference work, like Marvel Universe or Who's Who in DC. Those are Bibles. They're Bibles for those pantheons of characters, and that's really what it is. It's some people use index cards way back in the day. This is putting it all together, or character sheets in Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of people remember those. That might click with some people because you can have a picture there. You can have character, maybe statistics or a timeline, or how old they are, that kind of thing. Certain powers that they have, super abilities. There may be a synopsis of their backstory. You can break it down into however many. The more developed the character is, there can be a significant number of events or pivotal points in say a development of a character in its timeline that you could put in there. But those are things that you could put into a wiki, because it just as with the number of characters that can be in your history, or the Hickey verse as we used to call it. Their backstories also, that is a way to see where people's lives or characters' lives intersect, and it keeps things organized. And that's why I like the idea of that, because you can some people still use notebooks, and I still have one for Sparta Bay, and I'm intrigued by the idea of the wiki as a reference tool and as an organizational tool, because it can keep things nice and tidy, and also allow you to look that up and maybe build on it as you're adding something, because it may click that something here may intersect with something over here. Reference points in history. Things pass through the same moment in time, kind of thing. Or there, if you're, say, your company or your books have an event. All the titles may touch, like Marvel. Every year they would have some big thing, and you could have something where what happened during the the big yearly event, kind of thing, whatever the title it was. But that's going on and on about a Bible, but that's what it is: reference work and getting your stuff down. So.
And it occurred to me that there may be a difference between what you would write for within the company consumption and for public consumption.
Right.
How would you go about or justify doing that for the creator? How should the creator approach? Okay, here's what I want the public to know, but I don't want them to know everything at this point. How would they make that split there between what the inside people get to know and what the outside people get to know?
Well, I think it's up to the creator. Other than future storylines, ideas, and characters that you don't want out there yet, everything should be out. This is free information that you can give your future readers or current readers to get them hooked on your stuff. But if you're wanting to continue this and add stuff in for your own reference, then you want to build an internal wiki. And just because it's on there doesn't mean everybody has to know where it's sitting. You can lock it down to a site that you have to password to get in. So you could build a wiki that way and build it up. Now, I think the cool thing, and I've been thinking about this as I build this, is it'd be cool to put information in here that's nowhere else and let the fans find it. Like, Chris never had a middle name until now. Christiana Blood. She didn't have a middle name. I just gave her a middle name. Also, I gave my mind's blank, Tamara Rose a middle name. Never had a middle name before. Because I want this as complete as possible for the fans to want to care about these characters. And now I might use that in a future reference in a story, now that I know it. Or Bill might be able to use it because he can go and go, well, what was that? You can call up the character, boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool, run with it. So I think there's a lot of information we can put in here to flesh out the characters. Why not go ahead and share it with the reader, unless it has to do with future stories that you don't want out yet? And that's totally cool. And if you don't want that, then run a second wiki and just lock it down. If you're able to set up a wiki, then you should be able to figure out how to set up one and lock it down where people can't get to it. So it's not that hard. Or it's all of us here have used Google Docs too.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip of a wiki, you could set up a Google Doc. If you're wanting to share it with other people, but yet keep it from the fans, you could do that. So. But yeah, I think it's a great way to build. I mean, I have the DC Who's Who around here somewhere. I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Me too.
yeah, and I had a ton of the Marvel ones. So this is information I really enjoy, and we need to share it. You need to share it with people. So I think it's a key important piece of building your online presence is to get your who's out there. You can only do so many shows, and that shows only so many people is going to walk by your table, and then those people, only so many would take a free book. Believe it or not, not everybody would take a free book that you try to hand them.
What?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Surprisingly enough.
Ooh, what kind of commitment do you want me to make? I don't want your book.
That's right. I don't have to carry it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the other complaint. So this is a great way that they don't have to carry it, John. But
Well, good.
if they want to spend a few minutes though reading it, or if they want to research something, or if they want to catch you and say, "Hey, you mentioned this city and it's not on your Wikipedia," hey, thanks. I'll add that. It's out there. So I'm not going to stay where the Skystorm Wikipedia is right now, but it's out there. We're working on it, and once the site goes live, you'll hopefully be, it'll be a huge plus to the site. I think it's a huge bonus that you don't have to go and build another 200 or 300 web pages. This builds it for you, and it's a great way to keep it all organized.
Right.
I mean, Bill, what's and I'm sure once this, you jump on here, you're going to be adding a ton of information for what you wrote, like Blood and Roses and stuff. Adding more story events, more concepts that's happened so that when we write future stories, it's easy to draw that information up. And,
right.
Why not share what's already in the past or in the storyline with the fans? That's just a huge bonus. This is like the DVD bonus material that you get on a movie, But you don't even have to buy anything. You just come in and we're handing you bonus material right here.
Yeah. There is a line that can be crossed where it's if you're working on a title or a story or a project or whatever, and you don't want, there may be things in the backstory that you don't want known at this moment that you are working toward. Maybe you're dropping hints, but you don't want the secret out because you want the readers to invest in that as you're going along. So sometimes you could possibly give out too much, and then there are those people who might be so into it that they might say, oh, well, what if you did this and that, and then they become part of the process, and then you have to be. I used to have a guy that come by, and we would talk about story stuff that I was doing. This is back 20 some odd years ago, but
damn, you're old.
He would throw me character idea, story things about my characters, like no.
Was that Bill?
He blowed up, didn't he?
He was at no.
No.
See, Skype didn't like no.
Can't keep repeating yourself like that.
And yes, we're keeping this in the conversation. We lost Bill, and we're trying to get him back. So please hang on.
Please hang on. He'll be back with his no.
I think he got so excited he pulled his mic out. No.
Yeah, he probably did.
Actually, you stay connected because I just did this when we were testing earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Pull my mic and everything out. He's not picking up.
Uh-oh. I think he still thinks he's talking.
Oh, man. Need to aim him. Where is it?
Yeah, hang on.
Hey,
he's
Bill.
back.
Hey.
We lost ya.
Yeah, and I was talking to what?
Yeah,
I know.
What's the deal?
We lost you. No.
Actually, it was no. Yeah. Your customer was giving you information about your character.
Yeah, he was giving me information.
Whoa, wait a minute. Get your mic fixed. You're real staticky.
My mic's not changed.
It must.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Am I clear?
You are clear now.
You're being too Italian and talking with your hands again.
Well, actually, I was, but he was giving me story ideas about my own characters, and I encouraged him to go do his own. Not in a mean way, but I felt protective of my stuff, of my storylines that I was doing, and it just sort of felt claustrophobic. Did you hear that part?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Well, I wasn't sure.
No.
But it was as if he was sort of stepping on my creations at that point, just sort of jumping a line and taking my characters as he saw them in an entirely different way that that I had no intention of taking them. And I mean that you can sort of cross that line, but you want to be careful about not giving away too much, because if you're building toward a big secret or a big development in your storyline, say the end of your miniseries, and people guess it early on, they know where you're going. Instead of letting the cat out of the bag and this being this monumental event in your title's history, they already know. Maybe a letdown for some people. They've read the last 5 pages of the book and they know that the butler did it.
Right.
Thing. So, and it depends. It kind of depends on your outlook and your take on things, or your relationship even with your readers that you share the stuff with. So, okay. I was going great earlier.
I know. You get Skyped.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But good wrap up. There's huge benefits to the wiki. I see the benefits much outweighing the negatives. I guess you do have to be careful how much information you put on there for future stories or characters. So, there's always other docs, and then you have it created, and as soon as those go to print, boom, you can add them to the wiki, because it's something you can add to very easily, anytime, and it's out there. So, a must.
No, go ahead, finish your thought.
I think the biggest thing about a wiki is that you need to think about the organization as you're creating it. It's very important to keep it clear and very. I would say that the opening part of it needs to be very basic, and then you can start breaking things down. You don't want to confuse the reader or the fan or yourself and how you're setting it up. Like mine starts off with, right now my basic categories are properties, which is a list of each property and a description of that property, the titles that have been and the issues that have been published, a list of creators that have worked on them. And then there's a category for characters, and the characters are broken down by their name. Then inside that is the series they first appeared, the creator who's worked on them, and then who they are. And I haven't gone through every place they've appeared yet. That's stuff I can add later on. I just want to get the basic information out. And then, as I said earlier, I come find out and say, oh, wait a minute, there's businesses. Okay, well, I need to add these businesses for my own reference, if nothing else. And then, wait a minute, there's these cities. Well, yeah, let's get these cities going. So, I've added the cities to it. And then I even come across a vehicle, and I got thinking, you know what, there's going to be several vehicles in this, especially with race danger, and I know there's a couple vehicles we designed, so we went ahead and created a category for vehicles. I might come across something else, affiliates or something like that, and I'll add to it. So you can expand it, but keep the basics the beginning of it very basic, and then expand it out as you go deeper into the categories.
So, are you setting it up sort of like a Who's Who, where
where
you'll do that stuff and then you'll go origin and you'll write out,
I try to give the
such and such.
Mm-hmm. If I know it at this point, it's going to be there. If I don't know at this point, then you're going to get what information is available on that character. It may not be as informational as you want.
Right.
But I got a character called Scorch, and he came from a character that was killed in a Blood and Roses story called Gurk, and Gurk, he's pissed at Blood and Roses, and so I had forgotten about where his origin was. I very much liked the Scorch character, but that was nice getting that all down, and then I know where Scorch ends up in a current Blood and Roses story, so I haven't added that part yet. He becomes a sort of twisted into a third character. So there's a lot of information I'm finding. Of course, the people listening to this need to realize that we're entering almost 20 years worth of creation stuff that a lot of this is not digitized. Gosh, guys, so much of this stuff that we handle down in Elizabethtown is not even digitized. I'm coming across team names and concepts and ideas, and I'm going, holy smokes, that was pretty good. So I'm making notes off the side, to remember that because I didn't handle this stuff for 10 years. So it's fun. It's energizing. I think for me, it's fun to build this wiki and the who's who because there's an easier way to share it with people because of the online, and you don't have to print a book, and possibility of digital distribution of the comics once there's done. It's got me pumped. Better chance of getting a more of a readership. So
Yeah.
it's going to be exciting. But all the wiki and all that and offering books all have to be based about one key opponent, and that's building a website.
And that is an excellent segue to the other part of our discussion. Actually, all three of us, at one time or another, have built websites. Bob, you probably built about 1 million websites by now. Bill, you have probably built the most recent of all the websites, not including the still under construction Skystorm website. So, what is important to put on your website if you are making an online presence for the very first time? What do you do? How do you get the viewer or the reader or whatever the proper term might be really hooked into scrolling down beyond that first page that pops up?
Well, one thing I have on mine is a calendar or an archives where they could look at stuff. But something important is maybe tabs, where with pages, where someone and very succinctly you can put out your mission statement or your purpose or what the website's about. On mine, on Comics Mentor, I have that. Actually, I have to look at it because I play with them every so often, and just as things change in my head or the focus, or maybe I just want to change the tagline, whatever I'm working on now. But you want to put in what you're about, maybe how they can contact you, kind of thing. A lot of websites use the same, not the same so much formula, but you want a way to reach base for people to reach base, not just through your website, but maybe on they. I have people write me, for example, using the contact me tab about something that's either I've said or something that has affected them, something that they're going through, or they have a question. So that's an easy way for them to get a hold of me. But as I get other things like the portfolio reviews, I've got one tab that says Comics Mentor Alliance, and that way, that post, even though I posted it maybe a couple months ago, or some of these others I've posted them before, I can put that there, and someone can look at it, and if I mention it somewhere, maybe on this podcast, they can look at the tabs and read those, and that post. Sometimes I'll just repeat the post, copy and paste it, and boom, it's there. But yeah, you have who you are, what you're about, your basic questions, and of course I have ads on there too that take up the sides, but I have the archives where someone can go back and look through the entire month of November and read all those posts, or look back a year ago. Say, for example, a couple weeks ago at the beginning of the new year, I was able to look back at last year's post and see how I did on my New Year's resolutions, kind of thing. And challenge people to do that same thing, and that way they can go back and they can look at maybe where I was a year ago, if they're doing the same thing, or if they're doing their own website, that they can look back at their own. If they're on an artist's website with galleries and stuff, they can look at their work 6 months ago and compare. And there's sort of a sense of growth kind of thing too. So who you are, where to find you, the important questions. That's what you want initially, and then as with Comics Mentor, I started out with some, I guess, really more strong posts that were sort of summing up what I really wanted to, the website to be about, and started out, I think, strong from the gate. So
Let me ask you this, Bill.
Yep.
With what we're talking about is like Sparta Bay. If you build a site on Sparta Bay,
Right.
What information would you want on that site to hook a future reader?
Okay. I would have the basic concept of what Sparta Bay is. Then I would have a link to a wiki or character reference, who these characters are. If I had a timeline, maybe a page that's devoted to a timeline. If I could, I'm sure there's a program or something out there that you can do that with. If I'm looking for collaborators, what I'm looking for collaborators with, or an artist gallery that's just maybe fan art, or where people have been inspired or get jazzed about the characters and want to do their own take on it. That could be, with Sparta Bay, I think that would probably cover that, and of course then you have room to grow. Or if you have a community, if you have discussion groups or whatever, then you can add your link to that, which I do on Comics Mentor. Like, for example, link it to comic related forum, and then they can go there. So basically that's what I would have, the basics, and then I can grow.
Right. John, you still with us?
I am still with you. I was about to say, what about that, Bob? What would you put on yours?
When I start out a site, I look at what I would look at the readership, and I would try to find some other publishers or some sites that I like, that looks nice to me, that I think would attract the readers that I'm trying to attract. And I mean everything from colors, the use of colors or the lack of use of colors, and as far as looking at how menus are set up, and now this sounds really complicated, and it's not when you break it down step by step. You look at what they're doing, and we got to remember is that the Star Wars, the Marvels, the DCs, these guys have people who make big bucks making these sites. There's not a problem with going and using those as templates and saying, ooh, yeah, I need to make sure I have that section about my books, or everything I create, I got to make sure I have previews, and I like the way that previews page works. It's out there, because once you start building yours, it's going to modify, it's going to change, it's going to look different. So it's not bad to borrow that information out there. Not it will change, believe me. The Skystorms I'm working on, the base colors are black and grays and whites, because I wanted all the imagery to bounce off. If there was a little cover on there, I wanted it to bounce off, because it's the only color in that area. And showed it some professional designers today, and they really liked it. They thought, yeah, that really works. The Skystorm logo is in blue, of course, Skystorm, and it really bounces off that corner of that. So that sort of works. But what I'm looking at is the front page. You got to give all the current information, along with, like Bill says, you have menus and drop downs and however you want to handle it to get people into the properties easily. So they come here, and they're looking for a certain thing. They saw you on a write-up or an interview, or they heard a podcast or something that you're working on, and they're like, well, I want to find out more about the Blood Roses. So they click down, they drop down, boom, real easily within. They don't have to go through the whole site. You got to put it right on top somehow. And click on here, and then you take them to a Blood and Roses site. Well, from that site, you give them the synopsis of the story, some artwork. Remember, what we're dealing with is a visual medium, so your site needs to be visuals. Maybe some type of gallery where they can look through some artwork, whether it's development artwork, character development, whatever. The characters, which you have a few character headshots, and have those linked back to your Wikipedia if that's the way you decide to go. And then the almighty thing is, of course, your shop. you need to have some type of shopping cart, whether it's a PayPal shop or a Google shop, or you set up your own OS commerce shop, and that link needs to be on every single page you make, because the final thing is you want to make it sell at the end of the day. Once you give them all the free stuff on the website, and that's the great thing about websites, is now we don't have to go to a convention and hand sell as much. You still got to go to conventions. Face to face, one-on-ones are nice, and it's great. But now we got the websites, and if we build them correctly, they will help you sell the books. Last week Bill and I recorded a Skystorm podcast. Well, we're going to do a few more of those. So when the site launches, you're going to hear our beautiful voices. It's part of the pitch. It's part of the sell. It's part of us. So you'd want to incorporate yourself into your site, but it's important to get visuals on there, make them clear. Make sure if you're selling books, make sure you have some type of preview. That's like picking up off the shelf at the comic store and flipping through it. You need to give them 4 or 5 pages or 6 pages of the preview of the book. And at that point, at 6 pages, they don't like it, they're not going to buy it. If they like it, they're going to read the rest. What's $1 to $2 for a digital copy. So those things are important. Organization, very clean, clear, easy movement organization. Make sure, and this is something I'm looking at, is I'm coding on my pages, and I'm not using like a WordPress page. So I don't have built-in RSS feeds. You got to have RSS feeds, and which RSS stands for Real Simple Syndication. And what it is there's some readers out there, and a lot of these kids use these readers out there now. And what it is they can connect to RSS feeds from all the sites they enjoy. Then they go to that one place, and they can see which of these sites have updated in the past, say, 24 hours. They can click on them and go to those sites. If they haven't updated recently, then you're not going to get the hits. So it's important, the one, to have an RSS feed, but 2 is to update on a regular basis. Get fresh information out, whether it's a post, an interview, a podcast, whatever. Update your page so it's constantly hitting their RSS feeds and updating.
Let me put you on the spot.
Yes.
And well, it may not have been something that either of you have ever done, but what wouldn't you put on your web page? Maybe something you've done and gone, oh no, why did I do that? Or something you saw on a web page and went, oh no, why did they do that? What shouldn't go on your website, at least initially anyway? Or is there anything? Is it anything goes on the website?
No, I think it depends on the property, but I wouldn't put nudity or vulgar, just because if that's what your book's about, then move it into the site more, because you don't want some kids stumble across your site because they heard something or read something about you, and that's what they get slammed with. Pretty quickly, you're going to get your site blocked. In your face, oh gosh, remember the old days of the flashing text and neons?
Oh, God, yeah.
Don't do that. Treat it like as if you were designing a catalog or a magazine ad. Very nice, very clean, simple. You still got a flow, but the stuff with flashing and bright color, no, that's going to get you. For me, it's going to get you turned off, and I'm somewhere else. Somebody else has got me very quickly. Other than that, I mean, it's fair game. These are your brochures. This is your catalog. You want to sell your property in yourself. So, it's definitely something that you want to be careful about. You want it to look nice and clean and put a lot of information in it. Bill?
Well, like I said earlier, you don't want to give away if you know that, say you know the end of your story, the beginning and the end. You don't want to give away the end. For one thing, that locks you into something, and 2, again, it denies people the chance to discover things with you as they read your book. So, and again, as you said, the annoying graphics or text or whatever, if it slows your computer down or is garish or offensive, then you can turn people off. I'm not saying be bland or whatever, but uh, I told somebody earlier that talent is talent and clever is clever, as I've said before. And I respect clever, and I respect talent, and I respect uh, you know well-designed websites and that kind of thing. But if especially if something has a flashing banner that's here's something I liked. PvP had those peel away banners there for a while, where you run your cursor over the end and it peels back for that. That was cool. I don't, I didn't. It was usually for whatever con he was going to go to, but I mean, anything goes to a point. Like I said, you don't want to lock yourself into something, but things change. But you can title those things alternate histories or alternate futures or whatever. But I say, just put your best foot forward. That's just like you do with your comics or whatever else. Put your best foot forward, because you want people to be invested in you and in your characters. So, and give it legs and scene.
I was about to say feet and legs. I don't think there's any way that we can add anything else to.
Wheels.
The wheels. There you go. Make
Treads.
sure we cover everyone.
Jet engines. Wings. Yeah, let's just go with all the forms of locomotion.
There you go. And Paul McCartney while we're at it.
Nah.
So I think that might be good for the website discussion. Is there anything else we want to add to that before we move along? I think best foot forward kind of covers it.
I think so.
I'll leave it open.
Well, here's some quick one. Somebody asked me about setting up a wiki. How do you actually go through the process of, say, like registering a wiki or whatever?
How do they know we're talking about a wiki?
Just now?
Yeah, it would be somebody that read my post that we were talking about a Sketch Magazine podcast.
Ah.
Ooh, the power of the internet. Live.
Well, tell them to research Media Wiki. It's MEDIA Wiki, WIKI. It's out there. That's how I found it as a Google search. And there's tons and tons of information. And I think it's MediaWiki.com. I don't think it's .net. That you download the software and just get into FAQs before you even try to do it. Just get into FAQs and read and read and read. So they're easy. It's free too. It's totally free. Media Wiki. I need to double check I was on Timeline software, which is rather expensive. I guess a lot of businesses use Timeline software. Actually, it's .org. Media Wiki. It's MEDIAWIKI.org, and it's a total free PHP setup. So get in there and read the FAQs, and there's everything from installing to setting it up. It's all built. It's really nice. It's a really nice setup, and it's built. Of course, the information's all built on a wiki. So on the flip side, you're starting to get used to the look and feel of what it's going to be. So
I'm surprised the people at Comic Press haven't made a wiki press yet.
Hey, you know what? Maybe WordPress does have one. I didn't think about that,
I don't know.
John. Now you got me doing all kinds. If I have to start this over because
you didn't look.
WordPress wiki.
Just real fascinating for a radio audience, by the way.
I know. Quietness.
Quietness of people looking things up on the internet.
I found it on Wikipedia, but I didn't find anything. So I have to research it a little more and see if there's... Oh, no, here's a plugin right now. I'm not going to do it right now. I love WordPress. Anybody out there want to set up blogs and stuff, WordPress is the way to go. It's something we need to discuss in the future.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good, because I actually have to shift my... comic-related blog over to a WordPress soon. So
right, and I'm setting up one for me personally to put onto the Skystorm site.
Mm-hmm.
My personal blog will be connected with the Skystorm site. So I'm going to set it up as a WordPress, but then I'm going to design it to stand out a little bit, but yet still use a lot of the colors and stuff from the Skystorm site. So it looks like it's a piece of it. But
Right.
yeah, WordPress is what I use for Clay's Way, and that's what Bill used for Comic Mentor.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's got a real easy back end to run, and it's pretty. It gives you a lot of information, don't it, Bill? So future podcast, maybe next week, guys. We'll discuss blogs and WordPress, and I'll find out more about this WordPress wiki. Thanks, John.
No problem. Now you're going to be doing it all the time now.
Yeah, thanks. But well, if we feel like we've done that, okay. I think there's a lot to add. We can go in more depth about building previews for online and how to do so and everything. But I think we've spent enough time at the moment on the website and wiki. So, John, you want to update us on new posts since last we spoke?
I can do that. Over at the sketch blog on comic related, the most recent post being inking and coloring with Adobe Illustrator. I've done a few of these now. Different people have different opinions about Illustrator. I personally have never used it, but I know there are people who swear by it. So I like to give it some play every now and then. So there is that in that vein. Another piece of software that people seem to like a lot is called Manga Studio. And I found a video where a guy creates a face, and which isn't that unusual for one of these YouTube videos. But what it is he creates the entire thing in real time from blank page all the way through to the inks.
Wow.
Takes him just under 40 minutes to do it all. But he does it all in real time and talks about what he's doing, chastises himself for mistakes. You know, everything you do while you're sitting at your drawing board, he's doing, but on audio and video for the edification of the viewer. So, check that out if you have 40 minutes to spare. Two other not quite as long, but slightly long videos looking at the Letra set marker set. Representative from Letra set got in touch with me recently. Was telling me about a new set of markers, which will hopefully be showing up in my mailbox one of these days. But he also clued me into a couple of tutorials that are very recent that they had out. One on doing hair color and one on skin color. And I do know that there are folks who, there's still a small but very dedicated number of people who are still coloring with markers rather than digitally. So I like to mention those guys every now and then.
A lot of the sketch artists or sketch card artists that do shows are coloring with color markers. So I feel like color markers are probably more popular now than they have been in the past.
So, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
You know, it's with the advent of sketch cards or the Blue Line, you know, selling the sketch paper, the larger than sketch cards but smaller than normal paper size things that people can use at shows.
Cards and we have a small paper too. So yeah. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So yeah, I like to throw up stuff about markers every now and then because Lord knows I have a million markers myself laying around here. So I always like to justify my purchases. Speaking of justifying my purchases, I came across the Jim Lee Icons book a while back. Tried to win one off of Wired.com, but didn't quite get it, so I had to go buy my own. But it was a book I especially liked. I've always been a big Jim Lee fan, which I've mentioned several times on the sketch blog. So the guys from iFanboy, who are a video podcast of their own, fairly famous one, are talking about the book, talking about Jim Lee, talking about his rise from upstart image guy to now big giant head at DC Comics. So check that out. It's pretty cool.
Hey, did you see who wrote that book?
I did not, and I don't
Bill
have it right in front
Baker.
of me.
Guess who
Oh,
gave
no
Bill
way.
Baker some of his early writing gigs?
Let's see. Would it be you?
Yes, Sketch Magazine.
And did you get any? Did you
And
even get an Icons in the mail?
no, I
Free?
did not get one. Bill held out on me, but I did
Uh,
pick mine up in New York, and mine was autographed by Jim Lee. I didn't get it personalized. They had a signing on Sunday if you want it personalized.
Yeah.
But we were heading out of town. But I did get one that was signed by Jim. So, and truthfully, I haven't really looked. I flipped through it. And it's beautiful. It's something I want to sit down and like spend an afternoon checking out. But I just haven't had the afternoon with everything that's going on in Skystorm. So it's sitting here enticing me because I'm a huge collector of Jim Lee stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's too thick to just sit down and read through.
Yep.
Unless you have a day.
Yeah. True.
It's a beautiful book to just flip through, but if you want to sit down and read every little tidbit, take a weekend because you'll need it.
Yes.
But yeah, and I believe that catches us up for right now.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to get on and watch that Geek Speak because that's one. No, iFanboy.
iFanboy. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get on and watch that because, like I said, I'm a huge Jim Lee fan.
Yeah, they have kind of conflicting opinions. One's a Jim Lee fan, one isn't. The other one's kind of doesn't in middle of the road, doesn't really have an opinion necessarily. So it's a nice little discussion.
Yeah, that's what's fun about them. You have one who's hardcore, one's against, and the guy's sort of like playing in between the two.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It sort of makes good podcast and video. So
that is true.
Bill, what's happening over at the community and, of course, Comics Mentor?
Comics Mentor. Just remember that every day is a new day. So, however bad yesterday was, you can start over fresh. Again, it's a mindset thing. And over on the boards, we're heading toward the deadline of the Despicable Me the Despicable Me DVD contest. Draw your favorite supervillain doing something heroic, and I've seen several postings and little messages of people they're working on their submission. So now's the time, and remember, bring your talent, bring your A game, because other people will be doing the same thing, and other pros and people in the industry get to see this stuff, and people check it out, and we post the links to it, and other people look at it, and we have judges who are industry professionals from all ranges of talents and functions and positions and stuff. So that's the biggest thing right now, right there. So take this time and get something done.
Plus, we're going to post the winners in the next Sketch Magazine. And also, Bill, you brought up to me that we're going to put Andy Smith's page on the sketchmagazine.net site, probably end of this week, first of next week for the next contest, correct?
Right. It'll be an inking contest, and the page we're talking about will be a downloadable page with hopefully maybe we'll have a few hints on how to, because some people are just may not have that access to print something out.
Right.
So maybe we'll have some ideas of how they can do that. So.
And what's happened with that Rascal Clay?
Rascal Clay is back. I took last week off. Didn't get hammered too bad from the fans, and I appreciate that. Out of it, I did hook up with an old employee who now works for the Charleston newspaper, and he's going to do me some guest strips. He says there's no way with all the people Bob, you should not have strips up. So he's stepping up to do me some guest strips. I told him, I didn't foresee a problem, but you just never know what happens with Jackie and I or family. So I appreciate it. So Clay is back. Monday he took care of some leftover gingerbread men from the holidays. You find out exactly how he handles that. And then Friday strip is a one up strip, and then we start into our adding our next cast member. I think it's a 6-part strip that we're getting into. It's going to be a lot of fun. And today, Wednesdays, are mine and Jackie. We get together and draw together and work together. And we're in the middle of the next story arcs. We're really enjoying these story arcs, and we're throwing a few one-liners in between them. But the story arc's a lot of fun. It's almost like a comic, but yet just in a few panels. So it's moving along. Readership is gradually growing. Um, I keep getting asked about the comic. I sort of put it on the back burner because I've been working on the Skystorm site. I will, as soon as I get a handle on the Skystorm site, I will wrap up the comic and have it out for sale. I know some people wanted to give it away and stuff to friends, so it's 70% designed. I want to go back and add some more strips to it that we've got finished, and I'll have it available.
Do you still have that print available?
I sure do. We have Snow Day. I'm looking at the first copy of it here. We got our first batch of it. It is our first 11 by 17 print. It's full color. It's the Snow Day. It's 2 strips. It tells a little story about what happens when they have an off day and why they had an off day. It's available. You can read it on the site at claysway.com. These prints are 11 by 17 full color. Jackie and I are both signing them, and we've only printed 100 of them, so they're numbered. So once that 100's gone, we won't print any more of these prints. So there again, it's available at claysway.com if you want to check it out. And Jackie and I, appreciate all the support. It's been real fun, a lot of blast, and it's amazing when you do a strip like that has a little bit of your family in it. This morning, basically, Clay wrote a strip for me. Didn't even have to think real hard. He just did something. I looked at him and says, "Yep, that one's going on the site." So, yeah.
And that Snow Day strip is about to become relevant again in a day or two.
Yeah, they're talking 4 to 6 inches for us. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, be the perfect time for someone to pick that up.
Yeah, we might have to put a plug in it. So, get it out there again. But sketchmagazine.net. Been working on tweaking it. We're going to move it over to a WordPress site, as we talked about earlier. That way more people can contribute. You don't have to know HTML to do it. So I'm gradually doing it because I'm juggling 3 or 4 other things. Blue Line Pro, there's some great specials going on. He's getting ready to blow out a bunch of art books, so I suggest you keep an eye on over there. We're reformatting a newsletter, which new newsletter should be out next week. So it signed up for the newsletter at bluelinepro.com, and let you know, heads up, only you guys know here on the podcast, is that we're back to work on Blue Line Digital. I spent all day with the designer. We're working at the back end. So digital sketch magazines will be available. We'll be putting digital comics on there gradually. So Blue Line Digital will be live very soon. So for those looking for more outlets for the digital comics. So that's it. And of course, Skystorm. That's taken up a huge amount of my time, day and night. That's it, guys. So how can they reach you, John?
Well, they can reach me, as always, at john@comicrelated.com or john@sketchmagazine.net.
Bill?
Get me at email me directly at comicsmentor@gmail.com, or you can respond to any of the topics for the Sketch Magazine podcast at the Comic Related community on comicrelated.com.
Awesome. You can catch me at bobh@bluelinepro.com. That comes directly to me. You can reach all 3 of us at podcast@sketchmagazine.net. Please send us suggestions. If you don't think we're covering the project, subject, tell us. Tell us what you want. We're here. We've got 20-something years of information piled up inside of us we want to share. Sometimes we just don't know a direction to go, so we go on what we're currently working on, which for me is the Wikipedia and the websites, and I wanted to share it was all fresh in my mind. If you got questions, bring it. I don't always make it to community boards, but if you got questions, kick them there. Bill and I are in constant contact. He'll make sure if they got questions, he'll ask us, like he got a Facebook question in the middle of this podcast, and we answered it.
That's right.
All right, guys.
So to which Tim says thank you. He said thank you for that information.
Excellent. And before we go, speaking of comic related, the head of comic related and our very good buddy Chuck Moore had a slight vehicular incident this morning. He's fine, but our con mobile is a little the worse for wear. So we all wanted to send our best wishes towards Chuck and for his speedy vehicular recovery.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's going to survive. He has pictures up on Facebook. Go to Chuck Moore.
Yeah, it's a little rough. Yeah, go check Chuck Moore Facebook.
If it hit as hard as it looked, that little buggy might be out of the picture.
Yeah, we were talking about that on AIM earlier, that the poor old Conmobile may have to be retired in favor of something else, because even for as easy as he got off out of the wreck, I dare say the poor little Prius was not as lucky.
It was tagged on both sides on
Yep.
the rear, and I'm afraid it might have twisted the frame up. So we're very glad that Chuck's okay. Yeah, as soon as I heard about it, I aimed him and like, "What up? You okay?" And yeah, we're very, very happy. He might be sore tomorrow, but
yeah, he'll be sore, but physically he's fine, and that's why we all pay insurance for stuff like that.
That's true. Oh, one heads up. We finalized we will be at C2E2, Blue Line and Sketch. So that was finalized today too. So
excellent. I, however, will be at Space that weekend.
Chuck is going to be at some other con. So I may even have a Skystorm at the comic related.
I think it'll be cross promoting Skystorm, Blue Line, and
Blue Line has it,
and comic related all together. Oh, Blue Line has
a booth in front of Artist Alley.
Oh, lucky.
So they're going to be setting up the store and everything in front of there. So, Bill, I might have to drag you. Sounds like everybody else is busy.
I think so.
You come north for a weekend?
I don't know. We'll see.
If it's in the same little center, it's a nice little place. If they do it in the same spot again, last year C2E2 was
downtown there.
Well, yeah, it was downtown, right near the river or the water or whatever waterway is around Chicago, and it's a beautiful little spot, and tons of room to walk around, and more comic people than you could throw a stick at. So.
True.
Well, yeah, I've already had a couple of people, ask about C2E2. So, David Hillman, if I go, we will have lunch, buddy.
That's right.
Oh, there you go.
He's a very talented artist.
Bill's buying.
Man, Bill's buying.
Yeah.
On Bob's dime.
On Bob's credit card.
Sure. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.